Alright everyone, the other day I noted that Kim Jong-un is not an insane actor. He is effectively nothing more than a rudimentary state actor. He's the head of the DPRK. But he's not insane. He understands the basic premise of negotiation, as most world leaders do. I mean, currently the US leader is a fucking vegetable, so maybe that doesn't count. Jury's still out on Macron and a few of these others, but generally speaking, people that run states are reasonably capable of negotiating. So when I saw this article, link in the description, and it sort of undermines the peace deals that were made between the US/ROK and the DPRK years ago under Trump's first term. When I read this article, I found it fascinating, actually. It overlooks entirely the concept. Kim Jong-un has come out and said, well, we want to hyper-modernize our weapons. We're going to build more nukes. I want more of a deterrent. The United States is a hostile actor and aggressive towards us. This is all posturing. It is nothing more than peacock feathers, effectively. It's posturing. It's basically the big ask. The idea is that prior to the administration, the Trump administration, taking hold, Kim Jong-un wants to get really fiery. Part of this is because he has to appease his own population. They're convinced that Americans want to come in and stab babies with bayonets and stuff like that. There's literal war propaganda from the Korean period about this, by the way. So he has to appease his own people and set up for long-term negotiations. He knows now that he has to deal with Donald Trump for 4 years. He's not going to be able to take advantage of the fact that the United States is effectively run by a grinning vegetable, because that's what the Biden asterisk administration really fairly quickly devolved into. There's no attempt at negotiation. It was never even in the works. Nobody, I think Blinken went over there once, if I remember correctly, and that's pretty much the sum and substance of the attempted negotiation with North Korea. I would remind people, North Korea, while not an insane actor, does have atomic weapons. And they also have tens of thousands of artillery pieces drawn up on the DMZ, ready to effectively flatten half of South Korea. It behooves us to attempt to negotiate at least seeming calm. The Biden administration's not capable of that, but Trump has one advantage. Well, technically two. The first one is that he already was buddying up to Kim Jong-un. While liberals will say, well, he's talking to tyrants and shit like that, he's an authoritarian lover. No, it's more like you've got to actually talk to somebody in a friendly manner in order to get anything out of them. And secondly, he's done business in Asia. So he understands, I think, the nature of the posturing which the North Koreans currently are doing. Kim Jong-un is effectively just saying, here's my big ask, and I'll back down on some parts of this proposal if you come and talk with me. We've already been through this before. Do you remember when the North Korea, I think this was 2017 if I remember correctly, North Korea effectively threatened to nuke the United States, was releasing maps of the United States with missile trajectories and crazy shit like that. There was a total war footing. And Donald Trump very casually responded, yeah, I have a little red button on my desk, it's bigger than yours and actually works. And then all of a sudden, within a week, North Korea sent an apology letter and said, no, you're getting it wrong. We want to negotiate. We don't actually want war. This is going to happen again. This is almost certainly what's going to happen with regards to Korea. I don't expect war to break out. If anything, right now, Biden is bringing us to the precipice of World War III by sending landmines and long-range missiles to Ukraine. I don't think that Donald Trump is stupidly, accidentally going to spark World War III over the Korean Peninsula. I don't believe that that will happen. Nor do I believe that Kim Jong-un actually wants to nuke anybody. He wants a nuclear deterrent. And this was the problem in negotiations before, because the United States took up a hard line and said, look, you need to get rid of the nuclear weapons. You're not part of the non-proliferation treaty. We can't end sanctions on your country until you give them up. North Korea, meanwhile, countered by saying, well, you've had all this hostile rhetoric towards us for decades and decades. Technically, we're still at war. Why on earth would we give up that deterrent when it's the only thing keeping us from being invaded? It's going to be very, very difficult. I do not believe, by the way, much as though I respect Donald Trump's diplomatic capabilities, I don't think you're going to end up with like a long-term peace deal. Certainly not a reunification of Korea or anything like that. When people talk about that, I chuckle at them because it's impossible. You're not going to have that. What you could end up, though, with is a period of some years in which there is relative calm, a rapprochement between the DPRK and ROK, that is the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is a little bit of a, never mind, a little bit of a mislabel. Democratic, my ass. Sort of like the Democratic Party when you think about it. You're not going to get a fusion of Korea or a long-term peace deal. What you can do, though, is oversee several years of negotiations that lead to a bit of a rapprochement. That's basically the best that you can hope for. The hope is that the DPRK and Trump understood this, and the ROK do it themselves. It's their peninsula. They have to do those negotiations. The United States can simply be a peace broker. Under most administrations, we've been more of a warmonger in the region. The Clinton administration was the only other one that had tried any level of rapprochement, and they did it so fucking stupidly that the DPRK ended up with atomic weapons. Well, if you promise to allow our international inspectors in, I'm gonna give you uranium. Thank you, said Kim Jong-il at the time. That sounds good. Don't worry, we'll only use it for energy development, by the way. We would never refine it further. And then the rest is history. Donald Trump knows that as well. I think he'll do a good job, generally speaking. And with regards to Kim Jong-un, I see some people, like there were people that were messaging me and they're like, oh, do you think that World War III is going to start over Korea? No, I don't. I think that if World War III starts imminently in the next year or something, it's going to be about Ukraine. It's going to have nothing to do with the Korean Peninsula. So on that token, at the very least, we don't have to worry quite so much. That's about all. Peace out.